All right, in tonight's deep dive, Florida's detention center, known as Alligator Alcatraz, is expected to shut down. Sources familiar with the situation tell ABC News the details as to when that will happen are still in the works. That facility is located in the heart of the Florida Everglades and first received detainees last July. But lawsuits and concerns from lawmakers and immigration advocates over the conditions of the detained there face they have plagued that facility. And earlier this week, a federal judge denied the Trump administration's requests to pause an order that requires the government to provide detainees access to counsel, among other resources. Florida State Representative Anna Eskamani joins me now for more on this. And first, thank you for your time. And Representative Eskamani, so Governor DeSantis did not give a definite yes or no as to whether Alligator Alcatraz will close. It appears that it's moving towards closing. Can you tell us definitively if it will?
Well, thank you so much, Alex, for having me. And unsurprisingly, Governor DeSantis continues to operate in the shadows on this. Just like how he opened the facility, he's now acting obtuse in its closure. We know that vendors are not getting paid. We also know that the federal reimbursement has not come in. And of course, this facility, as you noted in the introduction, is being litigated in many directions. I actually serve as a witness in one of those lawsuits from the environmental lens. And all signs, despite his lack of transparency, all signs point to an imminent closure, especially the fact that our understanding is vendors were told on Monday to prepare for closure and dismantle of the facility sometime in June.
Well, okay, so vendors have been told, and so that certainly could be an indication here. But I'm curious, we're also hearing that the state has been late on checks to those vendors. What's happening there?
Well, that's exactly right. You know, Governor Ron DeSantis made a comment today kind of pushing aside the fact that there are vendors who are waiting to be paid for their services. Remember, these were all no-bid contracts to friends of the administration under the banner of the Florida Department of Emergency Management. Many companies don't have cash on hand to provide the services they're contracted to do so for this facility. And of course, with hurricane season approaching, there's endless concerns about this facility surviving intense weather, let alone hurricane level winds and rain. And so these vendors are typically the same vendors that have responded to those types of crisis. And so the fact that they have not been paid and that the state of Florida has at this point expensed nearly $1 billion on this just awful experiment as a detention facility in the middle of the Everglades, which no clear sign of will even be reimbursed at 100%.
Well, and Representative Eskamani, you mentioned that you've been a witness here. Listen, the White House and your governor have said that Alligator Alcatraz is protecting people there in Florida. I'm curious, what have you heard from constituents in your district?
Well, Alex, I have been in the facility. I have demanded access to it unfettered with the announcement, but I've also taken the sanitized tour. And I can tell you that no human worker or detainee should be in this facility. It is tent city in the middle of the Everglades. It's not resilient for that type of environment. It's also just damaging to what is a sensitive ecosystem and migratory patterns of wildlife. And of course, you have detainees that are stacked on top of each other with no clear access to due process, no ability for visitation. And it's just so far from everyday infrastructure. Everything has to be trucked in and out, from wastewater to food and everything in between. And so based on not just my own eyewitness accounts, but as you mentioned, constituent concerns where loved ones that do not have deportation orders are being sent there, it just adds to the chorus of why this facility never should have been open and why it should close immediately.
All right. State Representative Anna Eskamani, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.